Right. Hopefully people get notified about this one. I just tried to do a members only stream and it didn't share it again. Like it's the problem it seems to be having now with it where they've broken something. So I manually created a post, but I guess nobody saw it because maybe YouTube just didn't share that. So here's a regular live stream. Let's see if a notification comes up for this one. People get on. Right, Brighto? Yeah, it's if you didn't hear just then, I just did a members stream, but it didn't notify anybody again. So I'm gonna have to just do regular ones for now. What I can do if the members want me to do it is I can do a members only chat on these streams, but it means anybody can come on and watch. So it's not really as private as a members one. But hello everybody. But yeah, so annoyingly, yeah, I tried to do a members stream, it didn't work as usual because they've broken it when they did an update. Also, if anybody notices the Nixie Tube clock looks different, it's because I took the stuff off of it. I eventually got round to peeling it off because it wasn't like an easy to peel off thing. It was almost like properly glued on. But so the card, like the protective cards off of it now, so it's all black and shiny. But all right, Lewis. All right, Joshua. So yeah, I had a really weird day yesterday. Apologies for not streaming. I was going to stream yesterday, and so walked the dogs in the morning. That was all standard. And then when I got home from walking the dogs, because it was quite a long dog walk, I was told one of my relatives died, basically. So it was a bit of a sucker punch. It wasn't like one of my relatives I was really close to or anything. It's still, shitty thing to have, isn't it? So then I just ended up having one of those sort of, days where all right, Stug. So I ended up just having one of those sort of shitty days where, didn't really feel motivated to do anything. And then, started drinking and, drank myself unconscious. So, no, I haven't seen any of Slingshot Warriors videos in ages, your mother. So yeah, the notification then just went out really late for the members one did it right. So that's the problem. It seems like if the notifications are really delayed now, it seems like I have to start the stream like 10 minutes before I actually want to start it. But, I will just do a regular one. Yeah, I'll have to have a look at that. And go. I probably can't. I was gonna mention the thing then, not go over, and then I realised that YouTube really doesn't like people talking about sites where you can, buy things like crossbows and guns, do they anymore? So I won't say, but yeah, you'll know what site. I'll have to check that out later because I was on my phone when you said that earlier. All right, Snos. That's annoying if your operation's been cancelled. And Lewis says, I recently was at a convention, got to test out my Papa kit and wore it straight for about 3 to 4 hours, and it was pleasantly surprised by a true 6-8 hour battery. That's actually surprisingly good then. So yeah, it was a battery that lasts as long as it's meant to last then, rather than it being, it's a really good high capacity battery and it doesn't last. So Slingshot didn't read the manual of a crossbow one, doesn't know how to use it. I might have to see if I can find that video in a bit, you'll ever. Yeah, I have not seen that, but I'm assuming it's just some generic NBC suit, is it? Or just like one of those, is it one like those disposable NBC ponchos? But yeah, 250 is a lot for any sort of NBC suit. What's that, Brighto? Is that like a riot gun type thing? Like a rubber bullet type thing, or what? That's cool stuff. Yeah, right, Rich. So yeah, like I said, so for those of you that missed it, when I first came on, like I said, the reason I didn't stream yesterday, I was planning on doing it, but then I was told a relative died yesterday, like when I got in from a dog walk, so I was just like, and then I, wasn't really in the mood for it, like later on, and I'd started drinking, and then, all that shit, so I think I'm gonna have at least a couple of weeks now where I don't drink at all, I think, just because I need to keep check on that. It's not a good habit to get into, is it? Yeah, it's all right. So it wasn't like a relative I was really close to. I think my mum was more upset by it because it was like one of the people she's more closely related to, I think. But They only saw her the other week before she died because I think she had quite like an aggressive form of cancer. Yeah, TXT game. I know what you mean when you don't have motivation to do something. What's really annoying me as well with YouTube at the moment is like every time I go on YouTube now, it keeps getting me to do the 2-step verification. So it's actually really frustrating because it means like I can't just come on and reply to comments, because like I have to get it to send the code to my phone and then confirm it's me with the phone. It's really stupid. I don't know why they've started doing that all of a sudden. Oh, you got some Rhodesian stuff. That's cool. If you look at my username, you can figure out from my username how old I am. You'll be able to get it within a year. So yeah, that's that at least looking cooler. But yeah. That's a very strange question. What sort of crustacean would I be? I guess I'd want to be one that people wouldn't want to eat. I don't know all the list of crustaceans without looking them up, but I mean, crabs are sort of cool, aren't they? But they walk sideways, and people eat crabs. But yeah, I don't know what crustacean I'd want to be. Where do you get 39 from? I don't think you're very good at maths, are you? Don't blame you. I don't find maths very interesting, but I don't even see how you can get the answer 39. Yeah, Uwu has got it basically right. I'm 27, but yeah, I will be 28 this year in a couple of months actually. So. That's cool, Brighton. A live one. All right, Kit Kat. Let me check. I'm not actually sure. It's the ones that at least on UK Amazon. That's what it looks like. It's like the alrightest cheap ones, if that makes sense. So, I have the box for it somewhere. Is it the Pro 10R? Hang on. Let me Google Pro 10R headphones. Yeah, it's One Audio. So a bit of a weird brand name. Pro 10 Studio DJ headphones. They're just quite nice. Because the thing I like with these is that you can remove that cable from them. So that's the cable doesn't go in these. I've had one pair of these that did break, and that took a couple of years to break them, and that was just where like something sheared inside. I think I dropped them and ran over them with a chair by accident. The keyboard, I've just got one of those cheap Chinese mechanical keyboards. So it's basically a rip-off of like the Cherry MX Blues or whatever they are. Today, World War II collector just been doing stuff around my granddad's house for him. So, like doing a bit of gardening and stuff like that in between the rain. Oh, sorry, AK said you're trying to put together a whole Soviet military officer get up. Oh, that's cool. But yeah. So today has been one of those days where I've just been, doing sort of boring DIY type stuff. I did not know that the Russian one was labeled as 222 because I know 223 is like the it's no, it's the imperial measurement, isn't it? 223. But in the UK, Lewis, I think they'd be illegal, weirdly, because I have a feeling that plastic knives here are classed as stealth knives. Yeah, well, that's the thing is obviously he's I think 95 or 96 now, World War II collector, so he's he's pretty close to 100, so obviously he can't manage a lot of things by himself, or you don't let him do them by himself because then he'll do himself an injury or whatever. He's one of those blokes that doesn't like sitting down that much. So as old as he is, he'll still try and do stuff himself and then, screw it up. Because that was the ones that were basically the standard ones that they were doing. So, the switches, because you didn't have a choice with these. It was basically, it's a mechanical keyboard for fairly cheap. I love my IBM Model M, but unfortunately it's broken. That's interesting, Brightor. Is that like because of how the weight of it works, or? I don't know, Cornelio. I mean, you can obviously get like plastic cutlery type knives, but yeah, if you mean like essentially like a plastic spike, I assume that I don't actually know if it would be illegal. It'd definitely be illegal, obviously, if you tried to take it through an airport, but because the UK's got this weird thing basically called like hidden blade laws, or whatever it is, and it's what like the knives that are designed to be disguised knives. It's like the reason you can't have sword canes anymore. Because sword canes used to be legal. Like obviously at one point sword canes were like a gentleman's thing, and then they became like into that category where you could legally own them but you couldn't take them out with you. And then they annoyingly more recently put them on like the totally banned list, like where unless an antique one, essentially you're not allowed them. Right, are you in America though, Lewis? Because if you're not in the UK, then it's obviously fine, isn't it? But obviously, if anybody's in the UK, don't mention if you've got stuff you're not meant to have. I'd imagine if it's like not sharp, like you're saying, if it was a blunt sort of plastic knife, I imagine that'd be fine. But like I said, I don't know the specifics of the law. I just know some of those weird laws we've got where they get funny about certain things. Because what was annoying at one point is a lot of sites were selling stuff that you couldn't legally own in the UK, but they were UK retailers. And rather than the police like having a go at the sites, they just did people that bought from them, almost like a honey trap. All right, King Canada. All right, I've not got my radio code in this room at the moment, so I'm afraid I can't show it you. Oh, that's good, Edward. Did you get an actual MP5 or did you get the French mask? Yeah, saying that, Lewis, like I definitely think you're right there. I've seen like on Cold Steel's site the like training, like knife fighting training knives. How what are the theme parks like at the moment, TXC Gaming? Do they have any like COVID restrictions in them or what? I think the Denix things are all right for the price because bear in mind most Denix guns are always under £100, and for that I think they're pretty good. Like obviously they're not fireable replicas. Some of them don't have the exact right bits. Like where they seem to use some common bits on a few of the guns. Rather than having everything made specifically for them. I think for what they are, they're good. And as Lewis said, it probably depends on which Denix. Like all the Denix revolvers I've ever handled have always been quite nice. They've got a nice weight to them. They look absolutely fine if you want to use it like a stage prop. But the only issue is like people were saying is the Nixie tube thing. I finally got round to peeling off the card from it because it had that card glued to it to keep it like from getting scratched, and it was really difficult to get off. So it was only the other day that I actually was motivated enough while like just sitting here to actually peel it off. Yeah, I think I've been quite lucky, Lewis, though, saying that, like, with all the ones I've had, that I've not had ones with any sort of, flaws in them. So what they that's probably a good point though, isn't it? That they'd have rides break down. No, it's good though if at least at Fort Park most rides are going. Yeah, the blowguns are banned in the UK as well. Funnily enough, um, there was a weird thing they did in, I think it was either the 80s or the 90s, where they had like this ninja sort of craze, where for some reason the government decided anything that was like ninja-y was had to be banned. So that was when they banned shurikens at the same time and all the things like that. Yeah, somebody asked already what this headset was. So it was called something like a One Audio Pro 10R. I've had it for ages. It's just you don't normally see it on. I've just got some ambient noise on. No, they it's just stupid. All this like blowguns and stuff like that they banned here. They were never used in crimes, but the government just got it into their head it was going to be we need to ban these. I suppose if as long as you're not scared of heights, that's probably quite a cool place to break down, isn't it? Yeah, Lewis, we'll have to be careful talking about that because that's one of the things in the UK where I'm not sure the legality of it because it's one of those things where I'm not sure if it's actually illegal to own it or it's one where if you have it and you get done for something, they will always use it to claim that you are reading up on terrorist material kind of thing. Exactly, punches. Like I've said before, there's loads of weird, stupid things with UK laws. Because there's a lot of things people think are banned here that aren't, and then we've got weird things that are banned for no reason. So, for example, there's not a power limit on crossbows, and I don't think there should be. But like a bow or a crossbow, you can buy in whatever draw weight you want. It will take about a year. Cornholio. It's not going to within a month pay itself off. I think a lot more people would mind, wouldn't they, if you could essentially make like $2,000 in a month from mining with one GPU? Because if I think if I could mine like $2,000 a month with a 3090, I'd probably have bought several of them. But yeah, it makes about £10 a day. Well, both the computers together make about £10 per day mining. So yeah, it won't. And electricity cost for that is going to be like £1 per day. It's not very much. I've got a 22 caliber air rifle, which we normally call a tutu, but no, I've got not got any live firearms other than my obsolete calibers down there, which I can't show you on stream annoyingly because YouTube doesn't like it. So if you were saying you have that book, the book that shall not be named, but you thought it was fascinating to see the antique catalogue of modern guns it says to use, and it's pretty political piece of literature. Yeah, it's like saying I think it's dumb that things like that are banned because, like, for example, like stuff like Mein Kampf isn't banned because I think if you ban stuff like that, it makes it have more mystique, doesn't it? Whereas if you actually read Mein Kampf, and I suffered through reading it, Hitler's a shit writer and he was a shit person, but I don't think you literally pick up a book and then go, oh, this has radicalized me. I know they do radicalize some people, but there has to be something wrong with you in the first place if you can read a religious book or like some dictator's diary and like go, oh yeah. That sounds good, TXC Gamer. I've heard that, Lewis, but I don't know if that's actually true. I think it probably depends on the country, because obviously if you just went in and bought it from a regular bookstore, they're not going to ask your name when because if you paid cash in a bookstore, they've got no way of knowing that you bought it. And I suppose if you gifted it somebody, and they're not going to trace all the secondhand copies going around. I don't think it'd be a one size fits all, but I think it would give you quite a bit of room in there because obviously it's only really the sleeves that you put your arms through in a sense. That main bit just zips up. Yeah, it's a shit book, isn't it, Litter Picker? Like it's like that's the thing. I don't see why so many people consider it. Like I mean, I don't mean like even like people are Nazis. I just mean I find it weird that there's people who like seem to think it's like a really interesting book. It's like it's not. Oh, that's good. King Canada getting a new one or fixing it. Yeah. Um, in in the UK TXT gaming, in theory, I assume if you're declaring exactly what it is and you sold it through a courier that was happy to handle radioactive materials, it would probably be all kosher, I imagine. The issue is like a lot of people just post stuff through the regular post, which you obviously shouldn't do with that sort of stuff. I don't think it's banned in Germany because I'm sure like kids do they have to be taught it in schools, like as in why it's bad. I mean, it'd be stupid banning it, but it wouldn't surprise me because I know in Germany they ban loads of things with swastikas in, don't they? Like that's why if ever you play something like Wolfenstein, the German versions never have swastikas in. And it's really stupid, like when you're playing simulator games and they make it like, oh, we need to make this German friendly, so they take all the swastikas off the planes. It's like, but that's the history, you know. Just seeing that isn't going to, like make you go, oh, I think that's a great ideology. Like, oh, I'm going to shoot this damn plane. Yeah, I'd say it's much better rather than reading Mein Kampf, Little Bigger. I'd say it's much better reading about like the horrible shit the Nazis did. I mean, it's not a pleasant thing to read about, is it? But that gives you, I think, a better sort of understanding of all the stuff. No, I've not read War and Peace. Isn't that absolutely massive? So yeah, it's again like banning it doesn't do anything, does it? Because it's what was the thing? Bright old scent. Hang on, let me use. Yeah, that's the thing that I find stupid about banning stuff because it's never going to um. So the Polish government passed through a paragraph that controls all media. That doesn't sound good. It sounds a bit dictatorial. Let me turn that light off there because it's making the chat hard to read because it's like obviously bright light by where the chat is. Yeah, that's the thing, TXC gaming. But if you've got it now and you're being responsible with it, because when I bought the cesium 137 check source, a proper one, that came all like in specific packaging with a specific courier. What's the thing? So what's the question bit of it? The weird thing, I don't really want to go into all the George Floyd stuff, but the weird thing about that trial was, didn't they give like the officer like three different charges that should be like mutually exclusive? Like, because surely you can't do murder and manslaughter at the same time. Like, if it's murder, it's intentional. If it's manslaughter, it's accidental. But again, I'm not a lawyer, am I? So yeah. Do you know what it's from? TXC Gaming, your one, as in, like, do you know what meter it was originally out of? Yeah, it sounds pretty crazy, AK. I mean, um, if you want to buy strontium-90, right, if you're in America, you can really easily buy it from any of those sites that sell the radioisotopes in small amounts. But I don't think you'll get a very strong sample. Strontium-90 tends to turn up in a lot of old Soviet-like detectors because they used it as a check source. So if you've got one and they've not remembered to decommission it by taking the check source out. And for example, there was quite a spicy bit in this Chinese Type 75 that I took out. Because that was originally, that's the shutter button where you'd originally press that and it would, like open the shutter. The strongest ones, as far as I'm aware, are DP2 control sources. But the DP2 control source is probably one I'd say do not get that unless you really know what you're doing with radiation. Like storing it and that, because it's such a big bit of strontium-90 they put in there that it will potentially kill you if you're like messing about with it, because it's the range on it is quite high. That's not bad, is it? So 0.1 microcurie, so that's a tiny amount, but still, 50 microsieverts isn't bad. Well, I certainly would not recommend eating strontium, although there is a version of strontium that isn't the radioactive one, isn't there? Is it strontium-89? I can't remember. But I don't. A lot of those things are like bad for you anyways, because they're heavy metals as well as the fact. Yes, Brighto, it's the one that the DP2 source is the one that I'd say you want safety glasses on or whatever, because of the fact that the DP2 source, from what I understand, my one isn't as strong as some people's have. Some people have got them, but the DP2 control sources, in theory, some people have like done videos on them where they're so active that essentially it could just give you eye cataracts from looking at it. I suppose that makes sense, Litter Picker, if they're using it to like determine how thick something is by like how much energy, I guess, gets through it. I don't know. The DP-63A, yeah, that is that's the standard Soviet size one in there. I think it's the same as the DP5 check sources. So yeah, it's like a little bit like that. Interestingly, a way you can very reliably get strontium-90 is if you buy a Soviet DP5 Geiger counter and you buy the more modern ones of it, or the IMD5, they've got the strontium-90 check source built into the wand. You can take it out if you dismantle the wand, but the quite nice thing is where it's in the, like the probe. It's designed so you can just flick it on, check the Geiger's getting a reading, and then, like put it back out the way again. Yeah, that's the thing I want about King Canada, yeah. How many volts is a DP5? Right, so the actual batteries going into it, I think it's 2 batteries, isn't it? So it's only like 3 volts in terms of being powered. It might be 3.2 volts actually, because I have a weird thing with Soviet batteries that used to take 1.6 volts. You can power it on AA's or whatever. But in terms of like how many volts it outputs, probably a couple of hundred volts. But it will be very low current. So I've been shocked by quite a few Geigers that just make it go like that. I used to do like Warhammer type stuff, Lewis, but no, I've not done any like Airfix kind of stuff. Draeger stuff is generally fine. I mean, Draeger's a company that's still around there in Germany. Yeah, the Fu one, that's the camo one. What's Poland's main NBC suit then? Right, Justin. Also, for the person that asked the question, I think they worded it wrongly. Was it meant to be what are my views on the future? So you're still using the old rubbery suits, like the rubberized fabric, or whatever it is. That's really cool if you're restoring a helmet, because that's good, isn't it? With history restoring stuff, if it rather than it just being thrown away or going rusty or whatever. Yeah, Cobalt's only got a 5-year half life, isn't it? Something like 4 or 5 years on the half life. Yeah, the CT12 is still there. I must be very dumb because I don't know what that is. AK says our FP5 filter is still worth getting for GP5s. Now the issue is the FP5 is not actually right. So here's the weird thing, right? So there was the Polish filter that's meant to fit on GOS masks is called the P5, and some filters that are labeled as FP5s are actually the P5 like casing. I think it's also like the production date of them. That like I'm assuming at one point they swapped the tooling around to start putting proper NATO threads on. It's still cool having a bit of PO210, isn't it? But let me Google that thing that the person was asking about. Oh, apparently it's an old name for the heavens. Now, as far as I'm aware, I'm still alive, so I don't know about the heavens. I can still remember all those old Team Fortress like things, where like get behind me, Doctor. Jawohl. um, yeah, that's the only thing, Ian, isn't it? Obviously, yeah, because like a lot of things sometimes get opened up and the stuff gets taken out. But yeah, if it's got the wax seals on, you're good. But yeah, the only problem with those as well is obviously as the strontium 90 decays, it's not going to zero to scale properly, is it? But um, yeah, steel helmets are really not going to stop rifle rounds, unless I guess if you're wearing it, you're just really lucky with the angle the round hits it. Yeah, what's interesting though, you saying that, Ian, is that it seems like the DP63 and like the DP5s always had a really standard bit of strontium 90 in it, whereas like the DP2 is just like all over the place in terms of like how strong the check sources are, because you can find videos of them where people are getting massively different measurements from some of them. Filtering protective clothing. Yeah, well, that's the thing. That yeah, steel helmets are basically shrapnel stoppers, aren't they? Because that was why they came in during World War One. Like, I mean, unless you're like talking as far back as like medieval steel helmets, but yeah, modern steel helmets, like essentially World War One era, will just to stop your head getting ripped apart by shrapnel. Yeah, exactly. Like Will was just saying, and stones. So if like mud and rocks and whatever gets thrown up from an explosion. Um, no, I have not heard any of that stuff. I mean, there's I mean, if somebody believes something like that and they're not harming anybody, I really have no problem though saying that with some of the kind of wacky theories people have and stuff. It's only, I think, gets dangerous when people start doing the sort of conspiracy type things where they're blaming people or they're giving people like dangerous advice. Yeah, the only problem though, Bryce, what I find with like the M and XM naming system is that you can end up having loads of M1s, like M1 Carbine, M1, Abrams, M1 Garand. So when somebody just writes down like, oh, I got an M1, you're like, well, which M1? The Soviet MM1 masks, eBay. They used to be quite common to get on eBay. Yeah, it'd be good if the US did surplus it. What's really annoying with some places is they don't end up like surplusing stuff like that properly, do they? They either like pay for it to be destroyed or they'll ship it to like some war-torn country. Oh, I haven't actually tried that King Canada. I have to find my therapy because, like I said, the only problem with my therapy is it's permanently where it got contaminated, giving a slightly high reading. But saying that, I that wouldn't matter, would it? I'll do that at some point. I'll do it when I next get that X-ray thing out because I want to also test the radio code of that. No, I have no Russian Ratnik gear as far as I'm aware. The Russian Ratnik multi-tool is really nice. Yeah, Lippic, I think some people do that though, don't they? Just to have a laugh. Like, because I know people that definitely don't believe in certain conspiracies, but they kind of like doing the devil's advocate thing. But yeah, I think the weirdest bit with flat Earth stuff though is don't they say Finland doesn't exist? Like, Finland's like it's not really there, even though I've been there. But that like no, it's actually like a bit of the sea, or it's because is it the flat Earth one where they say like NASA's built a wall around the Earth and then like they shoot you if you try and get to the edge of the Earth or some shit? I mean, I know with like all these conspiracies, there's massively like different interpretations of them. No, I'm pretty sure the Earth is a sphere like the other planets are. And if NASA and everybody else is lying to me, oh wow, it doesn't really impact my life at all, does it? Yeah, there's some weird thing apparently where they don't think Finland exists. I don't know why it is, but it's one of the things that somebody who keeps like one of my mates is really into like reading all about various conspiracy theories. What he should do, although I don't think he could be bothered, he should probably do a YouTube channel where like every time he does a video he like does a researching another conspiracy because he tells me some funny shit like where like oh people actually believe this somehow. Um, are we talking? Well, I suppose they're not from the same time period, though, are they? Like, I know that if you just, I would say probably a knight, assuming that they've got all like the proper armor and everything. Because yeah, obviously Vikings are pretty damn good, but knights were kind of like the elite of the time, weren't they? Essentially, like in terms of training and all that. Because the thing that I find weird with like some conspiracies is just like where everybody's like, oh, but that evidence is fake. Because that's why it's quite boring with some conspiracies, isn't it? Like I base it, any conspiracy people believe is every single thing is like if it says the counter to my conspiracy, then it's like it's fake. Um, the GP6, but the GP6 doesn't exist. Do you mean the GP5M? Um, Okay, so WZ pattern year nickname. Yeah, there's yeah, it does sound confusing in all honesty. Yeah, so that's the thing, but yeah, it's like if you're arguing somebody who's really, really religious, because like I said before, my attitude is I'd like to think that there's a God maybe, but I'm not very religious because why would I want to, tell other people how to live their life? You're allowed to believe in it or not. Probably the S10 is probably still my favorite Commodore gas mask. Oh, I mean that you get contrails, don't you? They're a real thing, like the actual contrail, but that's not the same thing as chemtrails. But isn't there some truth to chemtrails, like only in certain instances? Like, because I thought there are planes that they can do stuff like that with, but I'm not saying like they're spraying like crazy nerve agents on people. I thought it's just something to do with like weather monitoring, isn't it? Depends where you are in the UK, taxi guy. In a lot of the big cities, and it is a big problem, especially with like drug crime type stuff. It's like where in like places like Chicago in the US, you'd get people shooting each other. Over here, they're just stabbing each other because there's not as many guns. Yeah, the only thing I wouldn't want to talk too much about conspiracy theories on the stream is just in case YouTube gives you a strike because sometimes they can't seem to understand, like the bots that just terminate things on YouTube, that they sometimes get to the stage where it's like because something's been mentioned, they think you're actually spreading this information even if you're laughing at it. That sounds quite interesting, Brighter. But yeah, like there is some very, very strange conspiracies. I mean, I do like some of the ones that are funny. Like ones that made me laugh when I was reading a list of conspiracy theories, and it was like some of them on there were legit. I think my favorite conspiracy theory on there, like that obviously fake, is the driver shot JFK. It's like you can physically see the video, and the driver doesn't turn around and just go like bang into JFK's head. But some conspiracies are really, really weird. Yeah, I think the problem is there's never going to be a YouTube alternative unless a big tech company does it, because the problem is always going to be like server hosting costs, isn't it? Because it would cost an astronomical amount of money for something. That's why all the alternatives to YouTube always just seem to die, is because they just can't afford to do it. They start off and then they realize once enough videos get uploaded that they can't pay for the server hosting anymore. But yes, I definitely think there should be a much more of an open market for streaming sites and just upload sites, because I'd rather put my content on a few different like websites. What about Vimeo? I don't think I've ever really used Vimeo. Um, well, I suppose like Pornhub is probably going to be the closest thing, isn't it, to YouTube in terms of like having loads of content on there. It's just a very specific type of content. Um, Soviet stand, as far as I'm aware, only if it's above certain power levels. When I say power levels, I mean like sample sizes, and I'm pretty sure you can't have uranium 235 or plutonium. I think those are pretty much no, civilians are not allowed those. But if you go on about regular stuff, then no. But you also probably don't want to be hoarding loads of it. Like I said, and that's why all my stuff that's interesting kind of level sits in the safe. Because I wouldn't really want to have it just out and about sitting around, so that'd be quite irresponsible. Right, there'll be a video out tomorrow. I've not filmed it because you weren't on the start, but I said yesterday, like one of my relatives died yesterday, so I wasn't in a mood where I wanted to film a video. I might. There's some more MREs I've got that I've not done videos on yet, so I might do one of those boring eating an MRE video, and describing what it tastes like. The annoying thing is loads of people ask for MRE videos, and then when I did them, like those people aren't interested at all anymore. It's alright, taxi guy, but yeah, it's just I was saying that's the only thing that's like it's made my week a bit different, like from what I thought I was going to do. Cheers, John. But yeah, it wasn't like one of the relatives I was really close to. But it was one that, like every Christmas, every birthday, I'd get a card and that from them. People saying anyone can look through its telescope and see the other bodies in space is spherical. Anyone can get on an aircraft and see the curvature of the Earth, and one can watch a GoPro on the balloon. Yep, the one I like, Little Picker, is if you watch the videos of the old like MiGs or whatever they are going pretty much. Is it the stratosphere they can go up to? Like the MiG-25s, a really fast one, the MiG-31s. But that's really cool when you see those and you can actually like see it almost looking like space from the cockpit. I don't have that channel, Brighton. That sounds like a Pornhub one. But yeah, but thanks for the condolences, everybody. Like I said, that was the reason yesterday I wasn't on in the evening, just because, like I said, I was a fucking idiot because I was like, oh, I feel like shit. I'll start drinking relatively early in the evening, and then you know what happens to me when I start drinking. So I'm just gonna ban myself, I think, from having any alcohol for a couple of weeks now. So just have good old water or whatever else. Because what annoyed me is when I was a lot younger, I was much better at being able to, like drink and say, oh, all right, I've had one drink, that's enough. The problem I have now is like one drink always leads to another. Oh, I haven't seen that one, Little Picker, but I do like some like the silly sciencey videos where people, do something kind of amazing, but then not, but for. Yeah, I don't blame you, John, because like a lot of stuff like that, you can always get in like the wrong sort of headspace, can't you? All right, what's the good word in English, Brighthole, to explain Brighthole? No, I've not heard of Cornhub. Like I said, I know what Pornhub is, but I don't know what Cornhub is. Yeah, no, the Soviets knew that the Americans had been to the moon. That's the thing. Because if the Soviets like tracking all of it as it was going on, wasn't it? Because they were probably hoping the Americans would get to it. And the Americans have been to the moon several times. They didn't just go once. And I don't know why the moon landing conspiracy was like always was such a popular one, because it seems kind of shitty to shit on the moon landing. It's like it was one of the most amazing scientific things man has ever done, really. Putting a man on the moon and getting them back again alive. Rather than, because I could understand like the moon landing being a bit crap if they sent them to the moon, then they can recover them and they died on the moon. But obviously that didn't happen, and they've done it multiple times, but Blighty. Blighty. Old Blighty. Yes, I know what you mean. Well, the Americans were the first on the moon, but obviously the Russians did the first satellite, didn't they? And the first like manned sort of space flight and everything. I'd like to think that the space race could still go on, because it kind of seems a shame, doesn't it? Say, oh, we've got some moon, we can't do anything now. That they need to do more space stuff, and there should be cooperation, because it's nice when countries cooperate with each other rather than wanting to kill each other, isn't it? That's a CT-12, so similar to an FM-12, but no drinking tube. Probably see it says CT-12 on that bit there, potentially. Oh, it's that bit there, isn't it, that says the, there you go. Model CT-12. Because the CT-12 doesn't have the drinking tube, so basically that's like a plastic cover there. I've got it in too tight, I can't get out. But if you take it out, then it's just kind of got like a hollow bit. It doesn't connect to the inside of the mast. They've like filled it in, but and obviously you can see on that cover there that there's no drinking tube. I have got an FM-12 as well. Yeah, Von Braun's an interesting bloke. He also did a lot of work on ballistic missiles. I mean, I'm sure you know about the V2 as well, but he did a lot of stuff with the US nuclear program as well. What the moon? You saying the moon landing streamed in the communist countries, or conspiracies about the moon landing was streamed? Comrades, the Americans have not been to the moon. It is lie. But, well, that sounds really cool, John, but I don't actually know much about them. I'm not like the most clued up person on space, I'll be completely honest with you. Like, I know some people who are really, really into space stuff. Like, my uncle is really into like all the NASA stuff. But like, it's one of those things I find it really cool. But I guess because the probability that I'll be going into space is very low, I've not really looked too much into it. Right, at the moment, I've been playing a lot of Fallout 2 Taxi Guy. I was streaming a bit of Fallout 2 fairly recently on YouTube. What I'm going to be playing soon is the Outer Worlds, because I ended up paying full price for it, but I thought, oh, it's made by Obsidian, I'll probably enjoy it. No, the answer is no. Yeah, I've seen some crazy things of that. Is that the underground rocket base punch? Is like the one that's like almost like built into a mountain, whatever it is. What do you mean? Which one would I do? As in, which one would I shoot? Or if you had to be one of the ideologies, I definitely wouldn't want to be a Nazi. So a commie, I guess, even though I don't like either of them. But there's in Trinity and Beyond, there's a bit where Von Braun's I think it's is it Red Wing? Part of the USH1 project. I can't remember which bit it was, but it's quite funny because there's Von Braun in like a Hawaiian shirt with sunglasses. It just looks weird. That, for some reason, though, John, makes me laugh because it always reminds me of that Jerry Jackson. And I'm sure a lot of people won't know what Jerry Jackson is, but is it action thriller where he goes on about the spaceman or whatever it is using the lasers to like uses lasers to transfer, like to watch videos or something in his spaceship, and then if planes fly through the lasers, they blow up. That's very cool, TXC Gaming. See you, Will. Yeah, I won't be on too much longer. I've been on 50 odd minutes. Yeah, exactly, Little Picker. If you were a party member, I guess, in a lot of the communist countries of a significant rank, you'd probably be all right. But yeah, it's cool, isn't it, John? All that sort of stuff. Cheers, Edward. But yeah, let me see if I can get this Jerry Jackson quote up because I want to read it up. If Action Thriller's got a transcript. So Jerry Jackson Action Thriller, and then I need to see if there's a transcript of it. Because some people have actually done transcripts of every Jerry Jackson one. Oh no, there's not a transcript for Action Thriller. Sex is in the Bedroom, Action Thriller, and Life and Death do not have transcripts. Every other ones do, which is really annoying. I don't get why people wouldn't have done a transcript for like Life and Death, because Life and Death is one of the best Jerry Jacksons. All right, see you if you're off to have your pizza. Yeah, I've got quite a few laser pens. So I've done video. There's a video I did relatively recently. If you watch that one, it shows you the strongest one I've got is an 8-watt laser. That's huge. It's over there actually. Saying that. See it on the case there. But I wouldn't use that without the safety glasses on. Oh yeah, I've been there, Brighton. Funnily enough, I did buy some gingerbread when I was there. because there's a statue of Copernicus, isn't there? In like the square or whatever it is there. But yeah, that was like one of the places in Poland. I think we were only there for one day when we were there. Like, you know, places like Warsaw and Krakow, we were there for longer. That sounds very interesting, John. Like I said, I don't really know enough about this. Um, 100k subs. Yeah, I was a bit confused what you meant there. Yeah, the subs I had went up crazily, didn't they, when Corona first started? Because I think people were looking for channels that actually knew about masks, as opposed to like, you know, oh, the government says you have to wear a mask. You know, like when we're talking about actual masks. But yeah, the YouTube sub slow is quite slow at the moment in terms of I think at the moment I'm getting like less than 500 subs a month, I think. So I think it's meant to be about November or December I get to 100k. I'd like to get to 100k by my birthday. It's interesting stuff, John, isn't it? There's loads of really cool like science stuff. I think sometimes one of the best things to do, if like not if you've obviously got proper depression, because that's, you know, where you need to have therapy or whatever, or you know, be put on antidepressants or whatever. You know, if you're ever feeling a bit down, I really like to watch science stuff, because sometimes that actually cheers me up, like watching really, really cool science stuff. Because you're like, oh, out, you know, all the things that are wrong in the world, at least there's this really, really cool, interesting stuff. Everybody on this stream, Edward, will be subscribed, because I've got subscribers only mode on, where I think you have to have been subscribed for 2 weeks to comment. So yeah, everybody on here in the chat is actually subscribed. Yeah, well, Brightalk, just stick with it. You might find that if you do like videos in like Polish and English, that might help you as well. I don't know. Yeah, I never got the option of doing the homework. Not like, you know, school homework. But with my job, it's one of those jobs where I had to be on furlough, and then, you know, I have to be there to physically do it, because I can't clean up chemicals from behind a computer screen. Sadly, I suppose they could get me a little robot, but that'd be too expensive. I'm more expendable. I did saying that though, on Sunday I did get part of my skin came off a bit of my thumb, which is a bit disgusting because I got a chemical burn, because I don't like, there's only a couple of chemicals I work with where I actually bother wearing gloves, because a lot of the time I just find it like makes my job harder. So I was like, oh, like, you know, there was like blood just pooling out from there. I was like, oh, it's burnt the top layer of my skin off. Lovely. Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Will just said, I definitely think more people should research stuff, because it's stupid how many people just get fed shite with a spoon and believe it. When you look into it, it does make you question certain things. Yeah, I think with everything, like if you look into something, then you can come to your own conclusion, can't you? Because I think there's a lot of stuff where, yeah, like not even like we're saying about conspiracy type things, but, you know, just stuff in general where like people are, oh, I don't want to learn how something works, even at the most fundamental level. So that's why they end up, you know, going into the wacky theories, because they're like, oh, this makes complete sense because I don't know how anything works, kind of thing. But yeah, it's weird, isn't it, though, Gandhi, the whole thing of like this sort of remote working, because like I guess it's good if you like doing it. The problem is apparently, like, you know, some companies aren't letting their people back even though they want to go back to work. especially if you've got like bad internet at home. I guess isn't very good for homework. Yeah, that's the problem, Marcus, because my boss at work said to me, "Oh, Liam, you can book off some holiday," and I was like, "Oh, yeah, I've got holiday I can use, don't I? Because it's not like I can go anywhere. So it's only really booking time off the, you know, not have to go into work really." Um, Angry old man trying to play the guitar. No, I don't think I've seen this. I've seen the Electro Boom video where he electrocutes himself with the guitar he plugs into the wall socket. All right, Mike. Yeah. Like I said, I'm feeling surprisingly good at the moment, despite the fact, like where I said to you how much I drank last night. But yeah, I'm all right. Was round my granddad's today, helping do a load of stuff. Obviously, I didn't drive. I was a passenger in the car. But... Yeah. Yeah, I really like electro booms because that's the thing. I think there's certain channels, aren't there, that they kind of come across like it's kind of the right mix between educational and funny. Like photonic induction's another good channel like that because like a lot of the time photonic induction just blows stuff up, like by overvolting them or whatever, like crazily overvolting them. But some of his videos I really like are just the ones where he's talking about like really old weird technology. Like some of those he was doing like some vacuum tube sort of valve lamp type videos recently. And some of those are fascinating, those like old mercury lamp things. But it's just like it's like not something he's breaking because he's just talking about how good they are. Because he seems like he's got two types of video he does. He either does ones where he breaks stuff, or ones where he basically lovingly looks after something and explains like why the technology in it's so interesting. I'll be on a bit longer, Fuzzy. The only reason I streamed earlier today is because, like I said, I didn't end up streaming last night just because I don't know if you heard, did you? But when my relatives died and all that, so yesterday was a bit of a sort of fucking weird day, and then I was, an idiot and drank too much. So I'm banning myself from alcohol for a while, I think, because if I don't drink, I'm sensible. I don't really know much about the Freemasons at all, in all honesty, because the Freemasons is like one of those pretty OG conspiracies, isn't it? But I suppose like Freemason groups can all be really different, though, can't they? That's right, Fuzzy. It wasn't like a relative I was super close to, but I think my mum was, because like my mum and my granddad knew her really well. But I won't be getting Christmas cards or birthday cards from her anymore. I'd be a bit worried if I did now, actually. Does anybody know, saying that, if funerals are still restricted to 30 people? Or can you have as many people in a funeral as you want now? Because if it's still restricted to 30 people, I don't think I'd probably be able to go to that funeral because, probably, I don't know. Because I know when my grandma's funeral was on, it was 30 people, and that included like the vicar and, everybody else. There's only about 25 like mourners in the funeral, which was a real shame because there was lots of people that wanted to go to my grandma's funeral and couldn't because of all the fucking corona stuff. While Hancock was hands, face, arse, and whatever he was doing, and Dominic Cummings was testing his eyesight. Us regular people, if we had relatives that die, had to suffer. I'd say Taxi Guy, unfortunately, I'd say it's getting higher at the moment just because there's more nuclear armed states. The more countries that have nukes, I think, the more likely they are to at least get used. Like, when it was obviously just America with nukes, that's why they obviously used them in World War II. And when obviously you had the Soviets, the Americans kind of facing off, that's why the nukes didn't fly, because mutually assured destruction. But I'd worry a lot more like, say, something like Pakistan and India having like a nuclear squabble sort of thing. Yeah, that would be good, Mike. Well, you're not good, but you know what I mean. Good in like the memory sort of way. But yeah, having a proper one, because yeah, like I said, we couldn't at my grandma's funeral have enough people. Yeah, rules for thee, but not for me. Yeah. All right, tactical. Yeah, I was only on Twitch very shortly last night. It's weird because I fell asleep, I think, yesterday about 6 p.m. And then I think I woke up around 10 o'clock, sort of 10:30 time. That's why I came on Twitch for a little bit, and then I think I fell asleep again. But yeah, that was the reason I fell asleep. Words to the wise, don't do what I did. But I'm surprised I don't feel all that bad today. I thought I'd feel much worse considering how much I drank last night. So yeah, I'm banning myself from the booze again. Best is a hard one to answer because it depends what your preferences are. I really like the modern Chinese ones, actually, like the Chinese military style ones, not the civilian ones, obviously, that can be all over the place in quality, but the like the MF11 type one, the MF11D, and the one I did the video on fairly recently. I think Hype's sending me and Duke Nougat a quite rare modern Chinese one at the moment, so that should be really cool when that arrives. Because I don't think there's like any videos you were saying on YouTube of these masks. I see you, AK. Yeah, that because it was even more restricted. Like, must have been then, like, cause that was earlier in the pandemic, wasn't it? Because I think they eased it a bit when it was my grandma's funeral, but still not many people could go, you know. Slingshot Warriors subscribe to you, right, Ozzy? Yeah, but that's the thing, tactical. Like I said though, I've been drinking way too much recently, so I'm just gonna like go off it because that's what I did. Like last time I was drinking too much, I just had a month where I just didn't drink anything. Like well, drank water, but you know what I mean. Because like I said, it's a bit like you were saying, Mike. I've got that weird thing where I used to be able to drink, and be really sensible with it, and then as I've got older, it's just got to the point where like one drink always becomes two. So I always binge drink when I drink, which is really weird. Whereas when I was younger, I never used to do that, but I don't know why I developed that. That's the thing. All right. So Jude says they've been in the Freemasons. So that sounds interesting. Yeah. Like I said, I don't really have any feelings about the Freemasons because I don't know much about them. I think there's a Masonic lodge in Oxford somewhere, but they never cause any trouble, do they? Wow, unless you're a conspiracy theorist that thinks they cause trouble. But yeah, that's the thing is like saying I don't know much about the Freemasons, but like I said, I know there's a lot of societies like that are completely benign, aren't they? Like they can actually be quite good people in them, but they just get a bad rap for some reason. Are you on about the spot on the that bit there where my finger is? If you're on about that bit and that bit, that's actually burn marks, or I burnt the camera with a laser. And if you're on about my glasses, yeah, I need to give them a clean. I have not heard that, Flazzy. I thought that was the Welsh that did that. But yeah, I'd rather the whole stream didn't start talking now about not that I've got any problem with it, but like because I don't want the things where people start arguments over religion or whatever. But yeah, if you're litter picker, if you're seeing that bit there, or there's one there, isn't there? That bit. I don't want to look like I'm highly Hitler doing it. But yeah, there's burn marks actually on the. There must be. No, your mother, I didn't. Hang on, because you've been subscribed for ages, and we know you are. Let me make you a mod, just because when you're a moderator, your mother, it doesn't hide a lot of the comments as much as it normally does. But yes, there's. So sadly, no. The only comment I saw from you earlier was the thing where you're saying about slingshot warriors crossbow, and that was like the last comment I think I saw from you. Or as in politicians in the UK that don't follow the corona guidelines that they set. Yes, we've had lots of those. Yeah, TXE Gaming, YouTube seems to have got really strict now with just putting random words on like a random block list thing. So I don't know what those words are. You don't know what those words are. We sometimes work them out when people keep saying I keep trying to say something, and we get them to keep posting things until the comments don't come through. Because wasn't safety one of the words that got blocked by YouTube? So if you were saying the safety on a gun, that kind of thing, it wouldn't let you say that. Yeah, Flazzy, you're a mod though. That's the thing. If somebody's got a mod spanner, I think they can say a lot of those words, but it's regular people can't. What's my favorite YouTube video from 2005 to 20? I'm trying to think what really old YouTube. Don't know if this is. Yeah, this would be before 2011. Some of the really random Gary's mod videos people used to make. Before, because obviously now people can use Source Filmmaker and all that. But where they had the really jerky animations, because they were doing it stop motion sometimes, weren't they? With the camera thing in Gary's mod. But there's always loads of G-Man with Tiny Tim living in the sunlight, playing yeah. It's crazy though, isn't it? The YouTube words they block for no reason, no discernible reason. John said, "Hey, all got a machete for $3. That's a pretty damn good price, isn't it? Yeah. So like you said, about £2, £2. Yeah. What Boris missing the Cobra meetings? What one's about COVID because he couldn't be bothered to turn up. Yeah. The only reason I've got slow mode on, John, is just because sometimes these streams get people, spamming stuff too quickly. Because annoyingly, I don't think you can turn slow mode off once you start the stream. Because it'd be good if there was just a button on the side where you could adjust it. Because if in that case, if there's not that many people, you can turn slow mode off. But yeah, that's the thing, TXE Gaming, because a lot of time people then blame me, going oh, you're banning people on your channel. It's no, I'm not. You only get banned on this channel if you're a genuine dickhead to people, as in being racist or basically being a twat. But a lot of the time it's not me doing it. It's just YouTube's hiding the comments in the ether. Yeah, I suppose you can sharpen it up, can't you, and all that. Are you saying you just read this, Michael, or are you saying just read this? Well, as in, you're not allowed to talk about. I'm confused now. You might have to reword that, but. Yeah, fair enough, TXE Gaming. I mean, I was actually lucky in a way that YouTube shared my videos at that point because, I constantly have the issue of, sometimes putting a load of effort into certain videos I make and then they never seem to get shared. Because it's kind of frustrating with YouTube that sometimes I think some of my least good videos are the ones that get the most views, which is really annoying because it's sometimes there's literally videos from I've not got a very good camera setup. I'm doing a very basic thing, and that video gets more views than more professionally done ones. I get you now, Flazzy. So yeah, because they don't let you talk about religion or whatever. That's I get you now. Yeah. oh, they do all right on our streams, wouldn't they, Mike, if they don't like talking about religion or politics? So I don't mind politics a little bit, and like religion can be interesting if it's not people arguing about it. Because I don't mind like people discussing stuff to do with faith or whatever, because that can be sometimes really interesting. But it's just because it can turn into a dumpster fire, can't it, pretty quickly, when religion and politics gets brought up, just because it's people like, oh, my religion's better than your religion. Are you on Twitch tonight, Mike? Because if I'm still awake at 10:30 or whatever, I'll go on. There was what made me laugh, Little Picker, was I think it was on LBC. They had like some caller that was like, sometimes on talk radio, it's like when there's a full moon, you get the really weird people constantly calling in. There was a really sort of funny one on there where there was this bloke who constantly thought like the Freemasons were out to get him or something. It just made me laugh because I think they didn't cut him off because he was like talking so much shit. And after like he hung up or they, stopped his call, they just, said like, obviously this is his beliefs, like not the beliefs of the station. But it was like a proper nutter one. There was a day I was listening to LBC not very long ago, and it must have been a full moon one because of like all the fucking weirdos they had calling in a row. Yeah, I think, Jude, I think they were just basically saying that, like, I won't go back into it because it's quite confusing. I kind of get what they're saying, but I don't know how to word it very well. What name, Steel Batoid? What name are you thinking of? I'm trying to remember what the calls were the last time I listened to LBC and they had all the nut jobs on. It might have been something to do with like animal rights, which is obviously an important thing. But then they had like, the craziest people on like both sides of the thing phoning up. So, like the people that think, everybody has to be completely vegan and that, it was like more like stricter than vegan stuff. Like, you can't have any clothes, like you can't have leather shoes, that sort of thing. And they also had somebody phoning up like, I think we should just shoot all the animals. Well, so it's the same word for both free and slow. That was a bit confusing. Yeah, I'll be on another 5 minutes and then I'll go off. It's been quite a good chat tonight. Because I like the fact that we've talked a bit about stuff like this without it turning into a dumpster fire. Because like I said, that's normally why we avoid the sort of religion, politics type talk on the air, just because people always, think their view's right. Like I said, I don't, I don't really trust any politician. What were you trying to say, TXE Gaming? Maybe write out a line at a time. I know slow mode's on. Oh yeah, refuse to do it or refuse. Yeah. And I see that on lighter news, or not lighter news at all, Afghanistan is basically Vietnam too now, isn't it? Where who'd have thought that when all the troops pulled out, that the government would just lose. But yeah, I suppose it's not a very pleasant thing to talk about. But yeah, all those lives wasted on both sides for absolutely nothing. And Bin Laden was in Oh, I better actually be careful talking about this with what YouTube's doing. But he was in Pakistan, wasn't he? Not Afghanistan. Not in the UK. Apparently, in France, you can't buy like military gas masks for some reason. But probably because they don't want people wearing them when they're rioting or protesting. Because we have to tear gas you. Right. Yeah. All right. See anybody yourself. I'll be off in a minute anyway. But yeah. Um, yeah. I have no idea why like our governments are so obsessed with like going in and trying to fix other countries, and we clearly can't. It's like the people over there are going to find a system they want to stick with, even if we don't like it. You know. Oh yeah, weapons will make you violent. That one came through TXC Gaming, but yeah. Like I'm very much a non-violent person. You know, I don't think, you know, like I find weapons and all that interesting, but it doesn't mean that, you know, I want to harm people. That's the thing, you know. Um, like, you know, I think people should have the right to self-defense, even though a lot of countries don't like that. But you know, I think that's basically where a weapon should be used: self-defense, and basically, you know, there are other purposes for them, but you know, but some people do seem to think, don't they? Like you literally pick up a knife and go like, "Oh, I want to stab something, so I've got a knife." Why would the government want to stop you getting an old surplus mask? That's a bit silly. That wouldn't surprise me, stuff like that, Iron Man. I know as well, lots of the guns on the black market in the UK are also like police and military firearms that, you know, I wonder how they got out. But yeah, the thing is, under the table, a lot of pharmaceutical companies did actually buy the heroin from Afghanistan. Like, you know, where they claim they weren't, but that's where they were sourcing a lot of it for like, you know, codeine, morphine, all that. But anyway, I'll be off. I don't know if I'll have to delete the stream because we've talked about some of the stuff where I don't know if YouTube bots will get. This is the problem at the moment, is that because YouTube bots seem to have become full Skynet, or like saying certain things in the video, you know, can now get you an instant strike you can't appeal, essentially. I'm kind of tempted at the moment just to delete a lot of the streams if anything comes up where, you know, somebody could take it the wrong way. That's weird, Brighton. I have bought masks from Russia before that haven't been in pieces, but maybe that's just because you know, the customs people didn't check inside the bag or whatever. That comment didn't get blocked again. Yeah, exactly. Tactical pirate. There's so much stuff with all that, isn't it? Where it's like such, like saying, such a, you know, like again, I suppose it's a bit like with the Vietnam War that, you know, like you had Chinese troops going over the border, didn't you, to fight the Americans in Vietnam? No, I don't think I've heard that song. Bold and Bankrupt, isn't he the channel that goes to like Chernobyl and stuff? I think I'm subscribed to him, but I don't think I've watched any of his videos in a while. Yeah, that's actually a good idea, Litter Picker. I'll just do it as unlisted. That way, yeah, only the people can find it who, you know how to look for it. But the only problem is I know if the video is unlisted, they can still get a strike, can't they? Because I know there's this silly thing at the moment, like where people have literally said that, you know, they've had videos on their account that nobody's watched in years, and they instantly just gets a strike when they, you know, make the algorithm decide to target another thing. The chilling effect, that's called, where you make people scared of censorship, so they have to self-censor. But yeah, I'll probably just make this one unlisted, to be honest, because I don't think we said really anything too controversial in this one. The PMG one, $20, £20 dollars. But anyway, I'll be off now. It's been quite a good stream. So if I'm still awake later, I'll see Mike and everybody else who's on Twitch. But if I've fallen asleep by then, obviously I've fallen asleep. Right, see everybody. Have a good evening, and I'll be off when I click the end stream button.